Welcome to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.
Hey everyone, you're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. We have a great guest today, and our head football coach is from the most known high schools in the state of Mississippi, St.Stanislaus, which is a Catholic school, also a boarding school for boys grades 7 to 12. We have their head football coach joining us, who is an incredible guy. He actually was on the staff when Myles Brennan was there. He was a defensive coach. Now he's the head coach. Nathan Encrapera, Coach. Thanks for joining us.
Nathan, thank you, Lee. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
I know that we hooked up on Twitter. I looked you up, said, Coach, would you come on our show and talk a little ball? And appreciate you taking the time. We're taping this show. It'll play a few days after. If anybody listens to the show and we talk about a spring game or something, it probably have already been played, but we'll make it work. But, Coach, Encrapera is the head coach at St.Stanislaus, and the history of the school. You know, I know that you sent me a bunch of information. We're not going to get it all in this one segment, but talk about
that'll be a long show.
Yeah. But the school,
about 150-year history.
The school, I'll just go ahead and mention the people from Louisiana. I know the people in the Gulf Coast know a lot about it, but located in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. The institution is named after St. Stanislaus Kostka, who is the patron saint of youth, young students, and seminarians. Takes in day and boarding students, grades 7 to 12. Was founded, this is crazy, 1854 by the Brothers of Sacred Heart. The school mascot is the Rockachaw, who I'll let Coach explain that. I don't know much about, but the Rockachaw has some history with the coast of its name.
That's right.
And, Coach, I mean, y'all play really good football there on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And tell everybody about the school, because there's kids in Louisiana. Your quarterback, who we're going to talk about in the show, is from Louisiana, one of them, Hudson Osborne.
That's right. Hudson came to us this past semester and done some really good things. There, yeah, like you said, there's a ton of connections with the state of Louisiana. I think we kind of associate a little bit closer to Louisiana in the food that we eat and the just kind of the feel of the Gulf Coast here is very closely resembles the Louisiana. So had a lot of folks come through here that were Louisiana residents. You know, there was a time here where the school owned a pretty large plot of land here in the Bay. And the railroads wanted to come through, and one of the stipulations that they had was they had to put a train station on the land that they gave to the railroads. And the idea was they wanted to have the train station there so kids from New Orleans could ride the train to school here every day. Wow. So, so the ties to New Orleans and Louisiana are limitless to our school.
I want to throw this out. During the whole show, there's a lot of famous alumni, but I'm going to throw one out every segment. One of the most famed alumni to ever come out of the school. I didn't know this. I cheated. Wikipedia. Felix Doc Blanchard, Heisman Trophy winner.
Old Doc Blanchard, yeah. Mr. Inside.
Class of 1942 from the high school. All three trophies are on display at St. Stanislaus, including the College Football Hall of Fame 1959 trophy as well. What do you think of that? I mean, that's a big deal for Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I think a lot of I'm probably showing my age a little bit, but, you know, he won 3 awards that year. He won the Heisman Trophy Award. He won the Maxwell, and he also won the Sullivan Award. Wow. So he not only was that year, you know, voted as the best college football player, but he was the best amateur athlete.
Wow.
For that year. So that's a huge it's a big accolade to receive for, and I don't quote me on this, but I think there was an Olympics that year, there was a Pan Am Games that year, so there were plenty of other amateur sports going on in that year. So yeah, they made a movie about Mr. Inside, Mr. Outside, him and Glenn Davis. You know, that's one of the things that folks stop in anytime they come out of the school and they want to see the Heisman Trophy. I think there's one other high school now that has the Heisman Trophy in the school. But for a long time, we were the only one that had it. And he donated it to the school, our school, because he felt like, you know, it meant so much to him. Like his years at Stanislaus created him and made him the man that he was. The school had such an impact on him that he wanted to donate it to the school. And again, I think that says a whole lot about the school and how we, the holistic approach of raising men and creating men that, it speaks volumes that he would donate his Heisman Trophy to us.
Big time. We have our guest today, the head coach of St.Stanislaus High School in Mississippi, Nathan, as he goes by, Nathan Encrapera. And we'll have more of Coach. We'll come back. We're going to talk about his team later in the show. He's got some current recruits. We'll talk about Hudson a little more, who's a quarterback, was at U High in Baton Rouge. Now he's going to be at St. Stanislaus. We'll talk about Myles Brennan because Coach was on the staff, the defensive side of the staff, when Myles Brennan was the quarterback there, currently at LSU. And we'll talk about some more famous alumni that come out of the school. We'll be right back. Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you. Welcome back to the Sports Scouting Report. You're listening to Lee Brecheen. I'm your host. Our guest is the head coach from St. Stanislaus College and High School, man. It's a boarding school. Catholic school. It's 7 to 12, grades 7 to 12. So if you're from Louisiana and you want to enroll your kid, it's only an hour from New Orleans, if that. Not far from Baton Rouge. St. Tammany Parish is a rock throw, as they say, Slidell, Louisiana, in those areas. And Coach Nathan Encrapera is our guest, head coach from St. Stanislaus, football coach. But, Coach, you're from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, my favorite city, the Steelers.
All right.
I'm a Steelers fan going back to the 70s, to show my age.
Good.
And you told me you moved to the Tidewater area of Virginia in high school years and ended up – how did you end up in the Gulf Coast of Mississippi?
So I spent some time in the military. There was after 9/11, the Navy opened up a schoolhouse. It's called the Expeditionary Combat School down here in Gulfport, Mississippi. And I applied for a job as a private military contractor in that role. Ended up getting a job, worked down here for several years. One of the guys that worked for me had 3 boys that went to school here. And he knew that I played and coached a little up while I was in Virginia. And he said, hey, why don't you go over and see if he can he's got a spot for you or something. So It worked out. And Forrest Williams was the head coach here, and it was late in August, and I started coaching my junior high defensive line or something. And I said, I'll do whatever you want me to do. So just kind of started out as a junior high volunteer, and a couple of years later, I was on the varsity staff. I was doing all that as a paraprofessional. Then in 2016, I came to the school full time as a full faculty member. Coached a little bit with Gabe Fertitta, who was at Catholic High for a while. He was our head coach after Forrest Williams. Bill Conades was our head coach after Gabe went to Catholic. Jeff Jordan became the head coach for a year, and then in 2016 I became the head coach. So had some really good staff come through here, and feel very fortunate to be a part of this place.
And I want to mention that the last 2 coaches before you coached high school football in Louisiana, one at Denham Springs, like you said, Fertitta at Catholic High. And then I want to give a shout-out to your alumni director, Joseph W. Joe Jex, who says this will be the 107th football season for the school.
107, that's right.
Whoa, that's incredible. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have more of Coach at St. Stanislaus in Mississippi, based St. Louis, Mississippi. Our head football coach, Nathan Encrapera, and enjoying having him. We're going to talk about his team. We're going to talk about Myles Brennan. We're going to talk about Mississippi football, Louisiana football. We'll talk about as much as we can today. We'll be right back. If you need a paint job or repairs to your vehicle, go see Madine's Collision Center located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on Kincaid Avenue. The number to call is 357-7983. That's 357-7983. your Baton Rouge Accident Advisors. Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. Our guest today is Nathan Encrapera, the head coach from St.Stanislaus in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, home of Stephen Peterman, All-American offensive lineman at LSU.
That's right.
Big Stephen Peterman. Coach, a story. Before we go to that, I want to thank Treads and Care, one of our sponsors, Devin Holly. Be sure to give them a call. They're on Park Place Drive, between Park Place Drive, Hooper Road. They do all changes, air conditioning, tires. They're big supporters of our show, pickup delivery. Give them a call at 331-8144, 331-8144. Coach, Stephen Peterman, a story. I was at an LSU practice just randomly one day, and this is before you had 5,000 people wanting to go to practice.
Hey, but yeah.
And this was before Nick Saban won a title, and so I'm at a summer camp, and I see this big tight end running around, and it was Stephen Peterman. He was tight end in the camp at 6'5", like 260, and this gentleman was there. It was just him, and there wasn't anybody else, any other dads. And I said, hey, what do you think of this big tight end? I said, that's my son. I said, well, man, where's he going to go? He said, well, he'd like to come to LSU. I said, well, I hope he goes to LSU, I said, did he? You think he'd become an offensive lineman because he moves so when I said, like, he's a hamburger away from 300. He said, he said Saban might move him to O-line, and if he comes here, and he said he'd love to do that, and the rest is history. Obviously, becomes an offensive lineman and plays at 320.
Yeah. Ran
like a 5 flat or 4.9 in the 40 at 6'5", and the rest is history. One of the most decorated O-linemen ever come out of the school, huh, Coach?
Yeah, had about a 10, 12-year career in the NFL, and our offensive line award for the Mississippi Gulf Coast the Coaches Association gives away an award every year for the most outstanding offensive lineman. It's named after Stephen. He usually attends, and watching his film, even as a younger guy here at Stanislaus, we've seen some of that, and just how athletic he was for as big as he was. He was kind of ahead of his time. Usually, you don't see those guys that big moving that fast and that agile, man. Just the way he used his hands and stuff. He was a really solid technician at what he was doing, and proud to have him as an alum.
First season of football, 1916 for St. Stanislaus in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. Division titles 2009, 13, 15, 16. South State titles 2009, 2014, and 15. State titles, Mississippi State champs in 1964, 2009, and 1967. Playoffs from 13 to 21. They haven't missed a playoff game in that span. It's a great span starting really in 2002, where they had a lot. Y'all haven't missed many playoff, opportunities after the season. Coach, talk about Myles Brennan. Currently at LSU. All the Louisiana fans here are like, man, they're pulling for him. He's had some injuries. He throws for like 700 yards in 2 games and then gets hurt. Looked like he was going to have a 5,000-yard passing season like Joe Burrow 2 years ago. And, he's coming back. He's put on weight finally. I remember everybody was giving him a tough time that he was skinny. And
he was thin, yeah.
Now he's like 235, and he looks good now. What do you think of Myles? And if we're going in a time capsule, you were a defensive coach on that staff. You told me when he was there at St. Stanislaus. But what was the thoughts then, and what are your thoughts now with Myles? Obviously, just looking at him coming back at LSU this year, his final go.
Well, I think the biggest thing with him is his character and just the man that he is. His commitment to the game, his commitment to his teammates, his commitment to the institution he represents is something like I've never seen. And he's just to tell you a little bit about him. He's a great teammate. It's probably the biggest thing that I'll take away from him. Just watching him in the locker room, his command in the locker room. It's all the things that if you could make the perfect quarterback or the perfect leader in the locker room, it's him. He treats everyone with respect, everybody in your organization. He makes everybody around him better. He makes everybody around him want to play for him. So I think that's the biggest thing about him that I remember. And I always joke with him all the time. I feel like I never got to see him play on the field because as a defensive coach, you know, the offense would score and come off the field, and the defense would go out, and then we would come back. And as we're coming back on over the previous series, it seemed like we always scored again. So I feel like the only time I really got to see him was on film. But watching him on film was just it was just amazing. And I obviously seen him in practice every day. You know, the work he put in extra, the work he puts in before practice starts, you know, before the whistle blows for the beginning of practice, watching him in the weight room, watching him get after in the weight room and all that stuff. And, you know, he does everything as a coach you want your quarterback to do, and he does it great.
I want to mention this. You gave me the stats on him. He set Mississippi State records for career passing yards, 15,138. Career touchdown passes, 166. Career total offense, 16,280. Single season passing yards, 5,797. I didn't know that. And single season touchdown passes, I did not know this. 64. He threw 64 in 1 year. Wow.
Yeah, it was incredible.
And
it was incredible.
And this is something else you showed me. He was an All-American punter in 2016. Averaged 45.6 yards a punt. I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, he was our punter, and just super athlete. Just what he had, you know, what you look for in a quarterback: long, very athletic. And usually those guys that can throw it can usually punt it too. I don't know what it is. There's guys that win the punt, pass, and kick contest that seem to be your Jim Kellys and those type of guys. So
I appreciate, Coach. We're going to bring you back. We're going to talk more about the guys that have come out of there. There's some other names before my time that I remember their names that went to LSU. I'm going to ask you about the tight end that Myles threw to that went to UL and then transferred to Ole Miss, Rogers, and some other stuff we'll talk about. Your team later in the show. You have some recruits coming up again on the team. We'll be right back. Be sure to take your car and truck for all your tire needs to Treads and Care Tire Company located in Central. The number to call is 331-8144. Family owned and operated since 1971. That's Treads and Care Tire Company. Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I want to give a shout out to a couple of sponsors of ours statewide here in Louisiana. John Harvey Toyota. If you're looking for a used car, Harvey Autos has 3 dealerships. Check out John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City. And guess what? He's a graduate of Mississippi State, Coach. The owner of John Harvey Toyota loves LSU. His wife's an LSU fan. He's a Mississippi State LSU fan. And I want to thank Gage. Has served Louisiana over 40 years. Let Gage create a custom tailored solution for your business and become your partner in technology. Give them a call today at 225-753-4243 and help your business get better connected with Gage. And storm season's coming, and they have those generators that plug up to your house that'll help you out, keep your power. Coach, getting back to your school, some other alumni to come out of St.Stanislaus, and one owns a car. Speaking of car dealerships, Jimmy Osalette, who is in Jennings, Louisiana.
That's right.
Played for LSU in 72. I mean, he was an LSU football player, but he was a graduate of 72, 75, St.Stanislaus. And I did not know this. Kicker Juan Betanzas from LSU.
Juan Betanzas was also,
was a great LSU kicker, went to St.Stanislaus. And Zach Elkins, another former LSU Tiger, is a graduate.
Yep.
And student coach from 2016-18, Tyler Allen went to LSU.
Tyler Allen. Tyler had a great career here, and he's coaching college ball as well now. So we've had a few.
And a few Tulane ones over the years, and obviously Ole Miss, Mississippi State, to go all over. Coach, talk about Brennan this year. We'll go ahead and finish it up with Brennan, but now that he's a bigger guy, he's 175, 180 when he was with, St.Stanislaus when you were there. Now he's 235. What do you think of that? I mean, he's 40-something pounds, 50 pounds bigger now.
Yeah. We you just kind of look at him and look at his dad, and they have kind of similar frames. You knew he was going to get bigger. Usually, what that equates to is just more velocity on the ball. The heavier body's going to create more velocity, and I mean, I feel like he already had a pretty strong arm, so I think it's going to equate to that. And obviously, playing in the SEC, you're going to have some durability. So I think that's going to help in that respect too. But I'm just really looking forward to seeing him play this year.
Another former alumnus, famous. This is before my time. I know probably before coaches too. Marchie Schwartz.
Schwartz, yeah.
College Football Hall of Fame, former head coach at Stanford University, former running back for Notre Dame under Newt Rockne. Wow. That's
crazy, yeah. I think ESPN put their top 100 players of all time together, I think a year or two ago, and Marchie was on that list. One of the top 100 players of all time.
Incredible. Also famous chef John Besh is from St.Stanislaus, was a native there, Meridian, Mississippi native. And his two sons, I did their highlight tapes. Luke Besh is a receiver at Tulane now, and his other son is a current senior that's still he's got a DN rush linebacker, had 18 sacks this year. Coach, talk about the Mississippi district that you're in, and do you have any Louisiana teams scheduled, or did y'all schedule any in the last 2 or 3 years?
We've had a couple. This year we've got Lakeshore on the schedule, but we had a district game or a regional game fall out. So we picked up Lakeshore. I try my best to try to play at least one Louisiana team and maybe a Florida or Alabama team every year. So I feel like it gives some exposure, right? You're going to have some local colleges. We played Central Catholic out of Morgan City a couple years ago. So trying to get that Nichols connection going. Like I said, we have a tight end over at Nichols State, Lee Negrado, made first team all conference this past year. So I feel like we just try to get out as much as we can and get our kids exposure. And I think that helps a lot when colleges can see those guys play in person as opposed to just watching the film. But I'd say Mississippi football is good. I think it's good throughout the region, whether you're in Louisiana, obviously, the southern portion of Mississippi, and I think it's some of the best in the country. And I've played and coached obviously in Virginia, and I've seen it in Pennsylvania. My dad was a coach for a long time, and you'd be hard pressed to find a place in the country that is as deep, especially in the smaller classifications. I think that's really where Louisiana and Mississippi kind of separate themselves. I think the big schools are pretty much the same everywhere you go, but I think the small schools are extremely well coached or extremely athletic, and it's really tough to compete in both those states at the high school level.
We're going to take a break. We got Coach for one more segment. When we come back, before we end the show, I got to ask Coach how big of a Steelers fan he is since he's from Pittsburgh. I think he's a Steelers fan. And
huge.
And we'll talk about how the Steelers' future is going to look since our guy Rossenberger has retired. That's going to feel different. I was a Bradshaw fan growing up. Bubby Brister played there a little bit. I wasn't a big Mark Malone fan and those guys, but hey.
No, me neither.
Neil O'Donnell lost at Super Bowl. But we'll talk about his team. He's got some recruits coming up, some good-looking players. He's got a big old lineman and some skill guys. We'll be right back with more of the Sports Scouting Report. Gros Savon Lodge, the true sportsman's paradise. Gros Savon Lodge has fresh and saltwater fishing, alligator hunting, waterfowl hunting, and eco tours located south of Lake Charles, Louisiana. Give them a call at 337-598-2357. That number to call again is 337-598-2357, and have the time of your life. Welcome back. You're listening to Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. Our guest today, who's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He's the head coach at St.Stanislaus in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. Nathan Encrapera, who is a phenomenal young coach there and continuing the tradition there at St.Stanislaus. More famous alumni. I'm not going to get them all out today, but speaking of LSU ties to St.Stanislaus, Kenny Whitman was on the 58 national championship at LSU.
That's right.
Also from 39 to 1940, VJ Galliani was also a former LSU player from the high school at St.Stanislaus High School. And also, there's been at least one student athlete from Hancock County on the roster for LSU during the national championship seasons of 58, 03, 07, and 19. That's crazy, Coach.
Yeah, there's definitely a connection there between Hancock County and LSU success. So maybe we'll get a couple from this year's class over there.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Other famous alumni: Shelby Tucker, World Traveler Adventure; Shannon Garrett, professional Canadian football DB, 14 years in the Canadian League; Stephen Peterman, current pitcher for the Chicago White Sox; Jacob Lindgren. We talked in Benji Davis, leader, singer, songwriter for the Benji Davis Project. All notable alumni. Coach, starting with your quarterback, and came from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I know his dad lived in Virginia, and the family did. I talked to him. They went to High. And then you picked up this quarterback. Tell everybody from Baton Rouge that got a chance to be a good quarterback for you this coming year.
Yeah, Hudson Osborne came to us in the second semester this year, and he's done everything we've asked. We've really been impressed with. I think his arm strength is a little underrated. I think he's delivering the ball even better than we thought, and I think he's come along in that respect. I think he's more athletic than people give him credit for. I think he can move in the pocket. I think the opportunity for us to move the pocket is going to be there for us. More importantly for us, though, he's been a great leader. He sets a great example for us in the weight room. Works his tail off at practice. Always motivating his teammates. I think his understanding of the game is beyond his years as well. I think we do some stuff that's pretty complex on the offensive side of the ball. I think he and John Haberman, our offensive coordinator, have kind of this early in the relationship have kind of developed a good dialogue where they'll bounce things off of each other. And I think Hudson's had a lot of input on kind of what we're putting in or what we're not putting in or what we're taking out. And I think, like I said, I think his understanding of the game is like I said, beyond his years. I think I think he could step into a college quarterback room and contribute very, very early.
That's Coach Nathan Encrapera talking about Hudson Osborne, who is going to be a senior this coming year for our high school, St. Stanislaus. And he was at U-High in Baton Rouge. He's a really good player, very heady, and he's got a chance to shock a lot of people there, being a first-year starter at St. Stanislaus. Coach, you have a big O-lineman, a young guy that's a good-looking kid, and I know Peterman came out of there. What do you think of that big O-lineman you have on your team coming up?
Yeah, Fulton Asherle is going to be a senior this year. He's 6'4", 270 right now. He's a guy that went through a growth spurt like early in the summer last year. So he's kind of figured out that big body. He's kind of figured it out in the weight room. He's learned how to hinge and bend, and he's starting to get some attention. He's going to play center for us. Speaking of Steven, he's going to play some center for us this year. We feel like his length is going to help us out in that respect. So, like I said, I think he's got some JUCO offers right now, but there have been some bigger schools that have come to campus and seen him at practice this past couple of weeks. We finished up spring ball yesterday. Okay. So we've had quite a few schools on campus.
Yeah, look, the talent there, Biloxi High School, Moss Point, Ocean Springs High School. It's just tons of talent.
It's incredible.
The tight ends that went to LSU, the brothers that went to LSU from Ocean Springs. Richard Dixon caught a touchdown pass in the national championship game against Ohio State. It was Ocean Springs High School grad. I think his dad or something or somebody went to Ole Miss in the family or Mississippi State. So that was a big get for Saban, and Les Miles coached him in the end. But Coach, talk about any other guys that you might want to promote that could get recruited or that you want to put out there to these Louisiana schools.
Sure. I feel like we have one of our stronger classes coming through this year. We have Chandler Chapman, who's a running back and defensive back that played for us as a sophomore. He went to North Shore this past semester, came back to us in January. He's on campus. We feel like he's got tremendous upside. won the 110 and 300 meter hurdles in the state championship this couple weeks ago. So,
wow.
Feel like he's a guy that has that upper echelon talent. So, great kid, works his tail off. So really, really excited about having Chandler back. Kyle Segal is another running back that we've got in this year's class. He was hampered by a hamstring injury this past year, but, very similar to Chandler, extremely fast, very difficult to bring down, just that hard running hammerhead kind of running back that you want that's going to wear teams out. Both those guys have tremendous compete levels. So we feel like this year's group of seniors is going to be a good group.
Yeah,
We've got a couple guys in the 24 class that are good. We might have the best kicker in the country, but he's a freshman.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah. Evan Noel, I think he had the 3 longest field goals in the state this past year, but I don't know how those groups rank kickers, but I'll tell you, he kicks them from 60.
Whoa, so he's obviously kicking
pretty consistently.
So he's kicking them off in the end zone as a freshman, huh, Coach?
Oh yeah. He'll be a sophomore this year. We had a couple kids on campus that played Division I schools, and they were watching him kick at practice the other day, and they both kind of said, "Yeah, he's probably better than the guy that we got on our team right now." So
that's incredible. You're gonna have 100 colleges there for a kicker in about 2 years.
We probably will.
I want to mention
that's Evan Noel.
Evan Noel, great name.
Evan Noel.
Sophomore coming up. Remember that one.
That's right.
I want to mention Chandler Chapman for the Louisiana people listening. North Shore, when Coach said North Shore in Louisiana. I met Chandler last spring, Coach. I went to North Shore.
No way.
And
there you go.
he was. I mean, this is a guy. A year ago, before he went back to you, I mean, he was at least 200 or 195, and he was ripped up. I mean, this guy was put together then.
Yeah, he's just incredibly athletic, and like I said, I watched a video of the South State Championship race, and he won that thing by like 5 hurdles. I mean, it looked like he was racing against me.
Wow!
He just beat everybody else.
I want to mention.
It was incredible.
I want to mention one more sponsor before I get to my Pittsburgh Steelers question for Coach.
All right.
I want to thank Medine's Collision Center here in Baton Rouge. Chris and Dominica Medine. They're locally owned, family owned. Love sports, support LSU, all the colleges, all the high schools. Give them a call, 225-357-7983 for any body work you need on your trucks or cars. Call Medine's Collision Center. Great people here in Baton Rouge. Coach, I'm a Steelers fan since birth. I'm not from Pittsburgh.
As am I.
I'm not from Pittsburgh like you. And I'm jealous of that because I wish I would have been from just Pittsburgh, just to grow up a Steelers fan with the dirty towels, the
terrible towels. Yeah,
I had a lunchbox as a little kid, Steelers lunchbox.
The little metal ones, the aluminum ones. I remember those.
Yeah, a little metal lunchbox. I had a little shirt. I had the old cap with the steel emblem on the front. And I was a Mean Joe Green fan. I was a Donnie Shell fan. Jack Lambert fan, Jack Ham, or even Rocky Blar. I was a Rocky Blar fan.
Rock.
Lynn Swan, John Stallworth, L.C. Greenwood, just going. Roy Jarella, the kicker,
Roy Jarella, yeah.
I'm pulling them out, Coach. But, what do you think of the Steelers post-Rosenberger, him retiring?
It used to be where you could kind of get through with like a game manager at quarterback, but I think the league has just changed so much that you've got to have someone that makes solid decisions back there. There's just too many variables. There's probably going to go through some growing pains. I think, they've kind of been fortunate. They had some short stints there where they went through the Tommy Maddox years. And, if you look at other organizations, they go 10, 15 years without having a good quarterback.
Right.
So I think we've been really fortunate having Roethlisberger. You had Bradshaw back in the day. He was, I feel like Terry was a guy that never got the credit he deserved.
Yeah.
In that town. And I think there's probably some amends that's occurred over the past several years, but I mean, Terry called his own plays,
Yeah.
That's nothing That's completely unheard of.
Yeah. That's why Chuck Nolan here didn't talk for a long time.
Yeah.
And I was a big Mel Blount fan, Lynn Swann, John Stallworth.
Love Mel Blount. That's secondary. Yeah, the battles they used to get into with the Raiders. And my family had season tickets for those. They were up in the nosebleed seats, but through the 70s, my family had season tickets. And I was a little younger, but, that was fun to watch. And, the incredible thing is how the team really exemplified the city. Yeah. And it was, it's hardworking, blue collar, took pride in defense and just, it was pretty incredible growing up in that town.
And I got to mention my favorite center of all time. I think the best center ever in the NFL ever, Mike Webster.
Mike Webster. Yeah. Just it's freezing, snowing, and he's got no sleeves on. His sleeves are tucked underneath. He's got those massive arms that he had. Yeah, that was just sight to see.
And thanks for the immaculate reception with Franco Harris against the Raiders.
Yeah,
where it would have never started probably. That started the Steelers off with the Vikings. They beat the Rams. They beat Dallas twice. I'm still happy about that. They beat the Cowboys twice.
Oh yeah. Everybody likes beating the Cowboys.
We got a lot of fans in North Louisiana that love Dallas. So, but Coach.
Yeah.
What do you think of Pickett, the pick from Pittsburgh College? I like Pickett, the quarterback.
Yeah. I saw a little bit of his film this past year, not a whole lot of it. I think it's good they got Trubisky. They get. I think it's good having a veteran like that coming into the room and competing for that job. To some degree, I think that alleviates a little bit of pressure on Pickett. I know you're a first round pick, but you can't. That's the one position you can't put a guy in before he's ready, because it's impossible to come out of that hole sometimes. So, right. I think it's good that they got Trubisky. I think it was a good investment. And I think he may end up being the starting quarterback first, at least early in the season, and not Pickett. Just like I said, I think you got to be smart with quarterbacks. Just it's a huge investment. You got to make sure you don't throw him to the wolves before he's ready. And I think a lot of it is, how good is their offensive line going to be? I think they're going to be able to run the football a little bit better this year, which I think is going to help. It always helps a quarterback. And I think their defense is going to be solid. So. Yeah. You just got to make sure you're putting that guy in the right situation. And like I said, not put him in too early and not have too high expectations, because it's a huge leap. A huge leap coming from the ACC and to the NFL. So
yeah,
I think it's going to be an interesting. They got an opportunity to do some good things here in the future.
I'm worried for the Steelers because the Browns have finally made a turn, and then you've got the Bengals with Burrow, and the Ravens are always good. So it's going to be really, really tough for them.
Yeah, that division all of a sudden got really, really good. So,
yeah, I hope the Steelers. We don't want to. If there's an 8-8 season, people are in your city are just going to be depressed. I mean, they don't know an 8-8 season. I don't think they've had a losing season in 25 years.
Yeah. Tomlin has not had a losing season. They've had a couple 8-8 in the Roethlisberger era, but I actually played against Mike Tomlin in high school.
Oh wow!
He went to Denby High, and they kicked our tail. They beat us pretty good. But he went to Denby High School, and I went to Gloucester High School in Virginia. So, and then obviously he went on to a college in William & Mary, and now he's the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking the time. We had a great time with Coach Nathan Encrapera, the head coach of St.Stanislaus. They're located at St. Louis, Mississippi, on the Gulf Coast. A great school. I hope I didn't bore too many people, but I love talking about notable alumni, because people don't realize sometimes who's come before, the 1990s, the 2000s, but it's 107 seasons this year is incredible for the school, and good luck to you, Coach, and I pray that nobody has a hurricane in Mississippi or Louisiana this year, right? We can just avoid all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Finally, any final things you want to talk about with the school, or anybody you want to do a shout out for? Any coaches that had a lot to do with your being in the profession? Anybody you want to give a shout out to in the business?
Yeah, my first coaching job was up at Gloucester High School with Turnley Todd, who played for Vince Lombardi for the Green Bay Packers.
Wow.
It was my high school coach, and just means a lot getting that first job. I've had just been really fortunate having working for Gabe Fertitta here at Stanislaus, and even Deuce Harrison, who's on staff. The staffs that we've had here at the school have been pretty incredible. I think I've had some really good support from the administration, and really I think we have really good parents. Parents of our kids that come from good families, and they work their tails off, and it's a pleasure to come work here every day.
But don't hang up, Coach. I appreciate you being on.
Sure.
Everybody go to our website, lafootballmagazine.com. We have our preview magazine that comes out late August. All 300 high schools covered, a recruiting section, our All-Louisiana team, all 12 colleges. Our 26th year of putting out Louisiana Football Magazine. It'll be out late August, early September. Be sure to go to lafootballmagazine.com to get a copy. And I know Coach loves that. If you're a high school coach, those are the magazines the parents want to get, and the coaches love to read through them. Coach, do y'all have one in Mississippi, by the way, a preview magazine like that?
We do.
Okay.
I think it comes out of Jackson, but I'm always a pleasure to read and learn about local high school teams.
That's good, man. I got to get one of those copies too. And
Right.
Go to the website. Everybody have a great Friday and great weekend. We'll see you soon. Gage has served Louisiana for over 40 years. Let Gage create a custom-tailored solution for your business and become your partner in technology. Give them a call today at 225-753-4243 and help your business get better connected with Gage.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Brecheen.